Tommy, are we about ready?
Yes, sir. Mr. Price will be heading in a few moments. So, but he did mention to me that if y'all want to start, we can keep it going.
Like I've seen y'all before.
All right. I'm going to call the Richland County Planning Commission meeting for Monday, 11 July 2022 at 3 p.m. to order. All right, to start off, staff, can you please confirm the following? In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, a copy of the agenda was sent to the news media, persons requested notification, and posted on the bulletin board located in the county administration building. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, the Planning Commission makes recommendations to County Council as to whether to approve or deny zoning map amendments and whether to amend the text of the county's land development code and maps. County Council will conduct its own public hearing and take official votes to approve or deny map amendments and text amendments on a future date to be published by the county. Council typically holds zoning public hearings on the fourth Tuesday of the month. Please check the county's website for updated agendas, dates, and times. Staff, can we take a quick roll call?
Yes, sir. Branham. Dennis.
Here.
Yankee. Johnson.
Here.
Ryerson. Metz. Durant.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Sirks.
Yeah. Starks here.
Thank you. Please take note of the following guidelines for today's meeting. Please turn off or silence any cell phone or pagers. Audience members may quietly come and go as needed. We don't have any applicants today, but we do have public input for the remapping process. Please keep in mind, 2 minutes are allowed to make statements. Citizens may have signed up front, and each are allowed 2 minutes. Redundant comments should be minimized. Only address marks to the commission. Do not expect the commission to respond to questions from the speakers in a back and forth style. That is not the purpose of this meeting. Please, no audience or speaker exchanges. No audience demonstrations or other disruptions to the meeting are permitted, nor are comments from anyone other than the speaker at the podium. Please remember, the meeting is being recorded. Please speak into the microphone and give your name and address. Abusive language is inappropriate and will not be tolerated. Please don't voice displeasure or frustration at a recommendation while the Planning Commission is still conducting business. If you have any questions or concerns, you may contact the Richland County Planning Department staff. All right. Before we move on, I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege. All right. Today, I'm presiding over this meeting because our chairman, Jason Branham, is at home with COVID. So we all wish him a speedy and fast recovery. Also, as many of you in the audience might see or watching on YouTube, we actually have 3 new commissioners with us that have been appointed to the Planning Commission by County Council. I wanted to introduce Mr. Frederick Johnson II,
Thank you,
This-
Mr. Chairman. Go ahead.
Mr. Charles Durant,
Chairman.
and Mr. Chris Sirks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. I wanted to give each of them a moment of personal privilege to introduce themselves before we get started with the rest of the agenda ahead of us. So bear with us a moment. That way you can actually hear from them before we get through with all this business, and then you're wondering who they really are. All right. Mr. Johnson, you can start off, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. As indicated, I'm F.A. Johnson II. In terms of Richland County, I'm a 18-plus year resident of the county. In terms of formal academic training, I'm an attorney by trade, real estate broker, commercial real estate broker and developer as well. So certainly I welcome the opportunity to
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Durant.
My name is Charles Durant. I live in Hopkins. I'm an attorney by trade, and I'm just glad to be a part of the commission and serving.
Mr. Durant and Mr. Sirks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Chris Sirks. I am an attorney practicing mostly insurance defense. I live here in the Columbia area, and I'm excited to get to work on this commission. I appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you, sir. All right, now we're going to move on to section 3. Are there any motions for additions or deletions from the agenda?
No, sir.
Let's move on to section 4, which is the remap, restart, and text amendment proposal process update. I've prepared a little bit to piggyback on what Chairman Brown has said in the past. So the process update. Last year, staff presented a proposal full replacement of the land development code. After review by this commission and some modifications to the draft along the way, County Council voted to adopt the new replacement code. Included in the new land development code is a new set of zoning districts. Each parcel of land in the county that is not inside a city or town has a zoning designation assigned by the county. With the adoption of this new code, each parcel must be assigned a new zoning designation. County staff prepared a draft map earlier this year. The Planning Commission was in the midst of reviewing and considering revisions to the draft map and receiving input from the public when County Council voted to direct staff to restart the mapping process. The Planning Commission and county staff restarted the mapping process and began discussing potential changes to and ramifications of the amendments to the land development code. The new baseline starting point for the mapping process became the zoning district translation table found in the newly adopted land development code. Staff has since created a first and second draft, neither of which has completely and exactly followed the transition table, but we're getting there. We have discussed some of their reasoning for that part, of which includes their desire to respond to desires expressed by the public and the commission as to certain uses and densities in certain areas. The mapping process is ongoing. It is not finished. It is far from finished. There will be more drafts. One important element that will continue to influence the map drafting is the process of proposed amendments to the text of the newly adopted land development code. And that was as our last meeting. Now, from our last meeting on June 6, 2022, we took a vote to create a running list, also known as a ledger, of recommended changes to the 2021 land development code and zoning map. We added items individually by a majority vote, and that motion passed unanimously, 8-0. At that meeting, we had 4 items that were added to the ledger. We had the town hall dwellings that was removed from R4 zoning district with a 6-1 vote and 1 abstain. We had 2 family dwellings to be removed from the R2, R3, R4 zoning district with a vote of 6-1 with 1 abstain. We had 3-family dwellings to be removed from R1, R2, from just R2, R3, R4 districts with a vote of 6-1 with 1 abstain, and 4-family dwellings to be removed from R2, R3, R4 zoning districts with a vote of 6-1 abstain. We also deferred a motion for County Councilwoman Newton motion to get more info on the zoning laws for larger resident developments. We also talked about mapping out agricultural zoning for areas of 35 acres or greater for the agricultural zoning. And that puts us into today's meeting. Today's meeting, I've placed 6 motions under item IX. The first one is intended to finish up our discussion on manufactured homes and introduce new discussion if needed within the code text amendments. The second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth motions are to help bring discussion to agricultural, homestead, and rural transition and zoning districts that used to be zone rural under the old code. I know there will be many more motions that come forth in this process as we have additionally discussions of them. And as more areas of focus are raised by the public and commissioners. We expect to conduct multiple additional planning commission meetings and work sessions before we make recommendations to be sent up to county council. Thank you for your patience, and I hope the information I just shared with you is helpful. All right, so that was the remap and restart text amendment proposed procedure update. Does staff have anything to add to that?
No. Yes, sir. The only thing I would add is that ledger that you referenced is available online, along with the other sections regarding the land development code. I think Mr. DeLay is just showing it right now. Tommy, can you go back so they can see where it is? Yeah, that was it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Price. For those of you watching at home, it's actually on our page that has all the updates for the land development code, and right under the table, there will be a view LDC running ledger of issues and discussion, and that will be the ledger that we have created. All you got to do is click on that and it will open up on your computer or phone. All right, section 5 is the remapping restart process input. We have 3 people signed up. So we're going to proceed with our public input. We're going to have Mr. Metz, Commissioner Metz, if you would call the name of the first person signed up. Reminder to each speaker, you have 2 minutes to speak and you should state your name and address before you begin. Also, if you could listen for the time limit and kind of knock, because I can't hear that buzzer with my hearing aids. Thank you.
Miss Melinda Kelly.
Afternoon. I'm Melinda Kelly with the Finkel Law Firm, 1201 Main Street, Columbia, and also Faber Place in Charleston. I believe that someone from staff might have given y'all a letter that I wrote. Instead of talking about individual properties, I know I have done that in the past. I think since y'all are looking at the process, I just have a question about the map. It used to be a convenient way to put in the parcel number or the address, and you can find out what the zoning is and what the recommended zoning is. And there's a new map under the restart. I think it's 0.2 or 2.0, and it doesn't have any roads or street names. And I just thought it might be nice if, I don't know if y'all can request that, but I have 2 clients that have a number of properties, and I just think for me and for other people in the county might benefit from being able to tell where the properties are. Thank you.
Next is Mark Hirschberger.
Thank you, sir. My name is Mark Hirschberger. I live at 15 Sweet Bay Drive in Columbia. If I may, gentlemen, I would just like to ask that you furnish to the public, to the folks here in the room, especially the old folks like me who are not really proficient in electronic communication, your general position regarding the introduction of mobile homes and multifamily dwellings into residential areas which for decades have been characterized by detached conventional single-family dwellings. Secondly, I would like to ask, to the extent you're at liberty to address it, has the commission actually formulated any language that might be included in the LDC, which would restore the former RSLD protection or some equivalent against what many of us would consider inconsistent use? Thirdly, if I may ask, has work on the zoning map been suspended until language has been formulated and actually applied to the LDC as a whole? If it has not been finalized, if there's not language ready now to stick into the LDC to amend the code, but the mapping is continuing, what are they drawing pictures of? Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Kim Murphy.
Good afternoon, Kim Murphy, 154 Old Laurel Lane, Chapin, and welcome aboard. I appreciate your introduction, Mr. Dennis, and I think it's a great opportunity that you have to kind of reformulate it. I don't think anyone realized, as Mr. Price said, what the impacts were going to be until after the map was released. I think County Council felt the same way, and that's why it's back in your lap. You may not know it, but the third reading tonight is essentially going to make the 2005 code the active code with the old classifications with the tomorrow night at the third reading. And I have some concerns because the way it's written, it sounds like at any time, even the day after on Wednesday, that you could lose your opportunity to do what you're doing. Section 2 of the proposed ordinance says, notice within 90 days of the adoption of this ordinance, the county shall mail written notice to all property owners of record in the unincorporated areas of the county, informing them that a new land development code has been adopted and that a map amendment ordinance is proposed, both of which will become effective on the adoption of the map amendment. So essentially it says at any time between day 1, Wednesday, and 90 days, a notice could come out that says the code is adopted. It could easily be adopted. All that would be left are the 3 readings of the map. So I don't want your work to be in vain. And I'm hopeful possibly the wording on this ordinance could be changed to allow the council not to move forward until you have provided your recommendations to them. Thank you very much.
Is that everybody? That was everybody. All right. We're moving on to item 6, the consent agenda. If everybody notices on the consent agenda, we have no cases in front of us. We only have road names. So I will take a motion for a consent agenda.
Chair. I'd like to make a motion to send the consent agenda to County Council for approval. Second.
All right. Motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion? None? Take a vote.
Those are in favor of the motion to adopt the road names as presented. Dennis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Durant,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Turks.
Aye.
The motion passes.
All right. That motion passes. All right. So we're going to move on to the chairman's report. So I had a few questions about minutes from past meetings. And then we actually got some today. Everybody got them today for the February 2022 meeting, February 7th, 2022. I wanted to piggyback on that question and ask, are we going to get any more anytime soon?
Yes, the last
I think last month's meeting, the April, the minutes that are being worked on right now are from your April meeting and also from your June meeting. And we hope to have those to you prior to, well, hopefully by sometime in August. So that we'll have all of those. And then we'll go back and look at any of the other ones that we may have missed over the years to include those.
Okay. As far as these minutes, because they're kind of give it to us late, it's,
The intent was not for you to take any action on
Okay.
those today because you got those. It was just to give to you because it was convenient at this time. And you can review those and we'll have it on the next agenda for you, the adoption.
all right. So we'll have the April, June, and February meetings for the August. And that will, if I'm not mistaken, that will catch us up for this year. So we'll have everything from September.
We'll have everything from 2022. I believe there are two months missing from 2021 that we're going to go back and work on. But yes, sir. This should catch everyone up. At least that's what we anticipate to happen.
All right. And then also I had a question. At the last meeting, we had all talked about getting a new map with the agricultural for the 35 acres. Has that been done yet?
Yes, sir. I have a copy of it now and we'll get you copies so you can have prior to the meeting ending today.
Okay.
Because we can also email those to you, which we'll also do, but also I know a lot of times people like to have a hard copy in front of them. But we'll be happy to present that to you.
All right. And then the last thing, I was looking through there and I was reading some statutes and I was actually reading our last or the current LDC that we have before the next reading tomorrow to revert temporarily but I was curious. I was looking at some maps and I noticed we was talking in depth about equivalency. And I know we have that equivalency chart and I was just kind of thinking to myself, is there a way to actually the areas that have a direct equivalency on that chart? Is there a way to get a map of those? So if it was, let's say RSLD and get the RS1, do we have that? Because I did not see that on the website. I clicked something, which is a possibility.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, there's not like a true equivalency, but we can, I think we have an idea of what you're looking for and that map can be prepared.
If I just get a simple map for it and just get it emailed out to everybody with the new commissioners, I think that would help them see kind of where we're at with it and help with that equivalency chart for the legacy areas and go from there. As far as anything else on the chairman's report, I really don't have anything other than that. One thing that I did take away from public comment today is the maps with road names. I don't think we're there yet. I know we had talked about that last time, and I think they're working on getting some major road names on some of these maps for us, blowing them up with in-depth, if I'm not correct. Is that in work?
Something we can look into. Again, trying to get the road names on it is a little difficult because you can only, at best, you can only show the main roads that you're familiar with, but any side roads or any residential roads, we won't be able to show.
I think if we could just get the main roads on there, that would help out a lot of people. I get a lot of phone calls about that. All right, so that's done with the chairman's report. And next, moving on to the planning director's report.
There's nothing to report at this time, sir.
Copy that. All right, so we're moving on for other items of discussions. We have a council motion here that was done by Ms. Newton to reevaluate zoning of large residential developments and seeing if they haven't been completed or started, basically reverting back to the original zoning within 7 years. Have we had any legal representation on that?
In your packet, and maybe you didn't get it this time, so I'll apologize for that, but previously, I'm sorry, it is in here. On page 5 of your packet. When this was originally prepared, it was sent to the DNS committee, or the Development and Services Committee of County Council. And part of the briefing process, it goes through a few other departments and areas for their input. And if you will notice on page 5, under the county attorney's office feedback, there's a statement that says this is a working copy. The county attorney's office may have additional suggested changes as the readings move forward and will provide its comments on the separate cover. So it's just a matter of, depending on what we present going forward, is when the legal department would have more input.
Okay, so what was presented to us, that's the most current, pending anything that we do might have to be looked at.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So what was presented to you, of course, was just a staff's response on the briefing document, just going to give you a little bit background on it, and also some opinions regarding the request. But ultimately, this will go to the planning. I mean, it's here with the Planning Commission, us to look at other processes that may be in place, that we can put in place to maybe not go 100% with what was requested by the motion with Councilwoman Newton, but maybe kind of going in lines with what she's trying to accomplish.
All right, so the way it sits right now, I don't think we have enough information to make a recommendation or a motion on it at this moment, especially with 3 new members to count. And we just had hello, Ms. Frierson. For the record, let that show that Ms. Frierson is here. With 3 new commissioners, with them only being here this first meeting, I don't think there's enough information on here for us to really be making a recommendation at this time for that. Do we have a motion, or does anybody want to make a motion to defer?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
There a second? All right, it's been properly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All right, let's take a vote to defer.
All right, those in favor of deferral of item 9A, aye. Dennis,
Aye.
Johnson, Frierson,
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Durant,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Sirks,
Aye.
get that.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I think what may be helpful as we kind of go forward, because we've had a number of discussions with, council and also among staffs, is I think maybe staff can kind of prepare some recommendations for you, for the Planning Commission, to look at, to help achieve the thought of Councilwoman Newton.
I think that would be great moving forward. I got some ideas also. I've been working on it. I just haven't got much there to send out or talk about in discussion yet, because I've been looking at a few laws to go with it. So anything you guys can give us as an input that would help, I look forward to that. Hopefully we can get that done and added to the next meeting. Now moving forward to the next set of motions. These are recommended amendments that that I sent in, and I want to remind any commissioner here, if you have something that you think that you want to make a motion on, or even add it for discussion, please send it to staff so they can get it added on there. It will help drive discussion. So that's kind of why we're going along with the ways that county council does it, to drive the discussion for certain items. At our last meeting, we have the manufactured homes we talked about, and I had sent in a motion. And tell you the truth, with 2 members gone and 3 new ones, I really don't see making a motion on these to vote. However, I would like to talk about them so that they can kind of get caught up a little bit and then go from there. So I'm going to, we'll just do it this way. So in the past, we had talked about the manufactured homes, and we was trying to get it in line with what we wanted to do. And we had, we'd looked at the old code to the new code. And the only thing that was changing was to have the manufactured homes removed out of R2 in the new code. And that would pretty much mirror the old code. So that's kind of where we're at. I would love to hear any other discussion. If y'all had any ideas, what do y'all think about it? And go from there. Does anybody have anything to talk about with the manufactured homes? Oh, it's short notice for some of them, but I'm just going to ask that question. All right. If not, then I'm going to defer that motion. All right. So I make a motion to defer IXBI1 to the next meeting. All right. And properly seconded.
I need to vote on that. You know,
Yeah. I mean, it really, well, we took a motion and done it. So we would have to vote.
yeah, I was just gonna point out, it might be helpful, especially for some of the newer members, to kind of go back a bit. As part of the new land development code, okay, we'll simplify this a bit, of the land development code 2021. Is the one most recently adopted. And you may also hear us refer to the Land Development Code 2005, which was our previous one that we have. But under the 2021 Land Development Code, within many of the residential zoning designations, particularly R2, R3, with R4, 4, and 5, a variety of residential use types were allowed within those zoning designations. I believe one of these citizens actually spoke on that previously. But unlike our current land development code, which you may have single family dwellings, and that was the only use allowed in there, essentially stick-built homes or modular building units. But those are the only residential unit types allowed in most of our residential single-family designations. But under the new code, there were a variety of land uses allowed, or residential use types, excuse me, so which would include single-family, two-family, three-family, four-family, and also manufactured homes. At the previous meeting, I believe under the R2, and if I'm incorrect, somebody can let me know. But at the previous meeting, it was decided that in the R2 and the R3 zoning designations,
that the 2, 3, and 4 units would be removed from those, essentially allowing only single-family dwelling units. However, we did not discuss manufactured housing. And so I believe that's why the motion for Mr. Dennis was brought forward, because that was the one residential use type that was not discussed. And so what his motion essentially would do is also remove that from the R2, just as we did the 2, 3, and 4 units.
Yes, Mr. Price, that's correct. That's why it was added there. You know, just real quick for the public, normally the chair, when they sit in this seat, they're not the ones that normally bring the motions. Everybody else is supposed to. The chair is supposed to guide. However, I got thrust into this, so that's why it looks a little weird with the guy sitting at the chair bringing forth these motions, because our chairman, Mr. Brownham, is at home sick with COVID. So that's kind of why it looks the way it does. So, Mr. Price, we did make a motion and we seconded that. So I think if we, for the deferral, if we could just take a vote on that and we can clear that up on that deferral.
We still want to go ahead and take the vote on that.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do one more motion after this and just to defer them out of this because it was
Okay, so
intent was.
motion to defer item 9BI1 to the next planning commission meeting. Those in favor, Dennis,
Aye.
Johnson, Farson,
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Durant,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Sirks.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes.
All right, so I had some other motions on there. And I think the best way forward on these is defer also. But before we defer them, I wanted to say what they are without making a motion. That way, everybody is sitting up here, you can kind of see where they're at. And then when you leave here today, you can kind of get into the weeds and figure out kind of what I was looking at. I'm not looking for any discussion on it today, just kind of give you an idea where my mind was. So I was talking about the farm supply and machine sales and service. And I was talking about permitting that in the HM area. And there was reasoning behind that. But since we're not going to have the discussion today, just want to say, look at that, please, for everybody watching at home and out in the public. Also, as to farm distribution hubs, I was going to add that to the RT zoning district. Veterinary services, livestock. I was going to recommend addition of veterinary services of livestock permitted by right to the RT zoning district. Also, as for animal shelters, I was going to suggest animal shelters be added subject to special requirements in the AG, HM, and RT zoning districts. And as to animal services as a veterinary hospital or clinic, I was looking at addition of adding that to the AG, HM, and RT. My reasoning behind all that was the rural areas, kind of what's done in rural areas. And I do know in some rural areas, there's a lot of veterinary services that not only do livestock, but also do smaller animals. So trying to help with some of those ideas out there going forward, looking at other codes. So that's kind of what I was looking at. So please, everybody, all the commissioners, if you could think about that when you're looking at that, digging into this for the next meeting. But what I think going forward, the smartest thing to do would be take a motion to defer. Actually, I'm just going to make the motion now. I'm going to make a motion to defer IXBI 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 until the next commission meeting. Moved and properly seconded. Can we take a vote?
Question?
Yes.
With the council motions and staff narrative that supports it, when it comes back, is it going to have some comment?
Or the motions that I made? No, those are for us to discuss in detail. We will come up with the discussion, like I will present why I think, and then if you see why it shouldn't be there, it would be a great idea to think, well, I don't see that, or this is my reason why it shouldn't be supported, i.e. another county maybe, or anything like that. So this is our opportunity to bring forth things that we think that can help the county, or if we see something that's in there that is hurting the county, fix that.
We have a motion to defer items 9B, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, sir.
All right. All of those in favor? Dennis?
Aye.
Johnson? Frierson?
Aye.
Metz?
Aye.
Durant?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Sirks?
Aye.
All right. It's been deferred. All right. So I'd made a motion not pertaining to the LDC. We have 3 new members also. And the one thing that I don't like about this motion that I sent is we have 3 new members. They have not had the chance to review all our rules and procedures. However, I would like to take discussion on this matter and hear what people think about it. I mean, we've done this in the past, and we had voted on this in the past, but the way we did it, we just put amendment. We didn't actually write out what it was so the public couldn't see it. It was a clerical error. It was something that was not done in ill intent or anything like that, but we listened to the county attorney. We rectified those situations, and going forward, that's kind of why we've added all these motions there so that you and the public can see what we're doing for transparency. So my reasoning to have this added at this meeting was simply because if we was to vote for members in December, they would have until February to get trained up. Now, I know in the past, we have not had or provided that training, but this right here gives us the chance to make this commission better. It gives us a chance to make that training for the new people moving forward, because come this next election, you know, my term ends in September, and I would not seek an officer position knowing that I'm not moving forward. I'm not saying I'm not staying on the commission. I'm not saying I'm getting off, but I still have to go through an interview process to stay on. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't want to hold up process in a commission where I might potentially not be here. So moving forward to things, also, if you was to hold a meeting such as this in December, then the new elected officials would have until February to figure it out. And what I mean by figuring out would be to talk to the current chair and vice chair, find out what's helped us and what has not helped us. Also seek to get training, because when we did this, I actually sought training through the National Association of Realtors to learn how to do Robert's Rules of Order, which I'm going to tell you right now is not easy. It's not fun, but it's a necessity in this procedure. And it's tough work. We do have some new members up here that are lawyers, so they're a lot better at that than I am. So moving forward, I really would like to hear what people think about this. I mean, do we have any commissioners that want to speak on it? Do they think it's a good idea? I mean, or I can just call a motion for it and we can go that way. But I really don't want to do that because we got some new commissioners. I would really love to hear from a commissioner.
Vice Chair Dennis, I'd like to speak. I think what you did is quite appropriate and helpful because we don't want misunderstanding. And I think when things are in writing, it just makes it clear to everyone. So I appreciate what you did. And I hope we will today pass this motion forward.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Just point of clarification, this would be going under section 2, correct?
Yes, it would.
In that case, I agree. I don't want to take up a bunch of time saying the same thing, but it just makes sense that there would be a transition time as with, most any other government position, any position that matter, is to have a transition period where someone coming in learn a little more about it and before they take that next step.
Copy. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
What's the present process? Is this just establishing formally what's been going on informally, or is it replacing some other process?
So the current process would be, we would take the vote in February at our new meeting, and then we would adjourn and start a new meeting with the new person in there. I mean, it kind of gives that time frame. That's kind of why we went for it like that. But in the past, we didn't spell it out like this. We just put, the 3 little terms in there, and we didn't put it out for the public to see it. So I think this way is a lot better doing it. But that's that's the procedure we currently have. We would vote in February.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
it sounds as if it's a rational thing to do and have their support for that. As I expressed prior to the meeting, my concern is with 3 new members, it just didn't quite it to take a procedural move when there's 30% of the folks are looking at it for the first time. I've since had the opportunity to hear the context, and I think that's the biggest issue, is making sure that the public hears the context that this has been previously, because my initial question, what did the predecessors do or not do? So it's quite a different position to say that there was unanimous approval for it, but there's a technical issue in terms of that it was printed on the agenda. That then gives a little bit of a different perspective in terms of being able to move forward with it. Things that should be.
Thank you. So moving forward, I'm really, because I sent this motion in and having 3 new members, I'm really echoing what Mr. Johnson said. I really didn't want to put this on there because I had recently found out that Mr. Branham had COVID. But I think after hearing from everybody, I think I'm just going to go ahead and make the motion and go from there and see where it falls. If it passes, it passes. If not, it fails, and we'll just keep the old way. Just to get it off there. And I'd said in the past at other meetings, we can't always wait for everybody to be here. And unfortunately, today we don't have everybody here to make this a full vote. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and make the motion. I move to make an amendment to the rules of procedure that the election of officers will take place at the regular scheduled December meeting and will assume the position at the first regularly scheduled planning commission meeting of the calendar year in February. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All right, it's been properly seconded. Let's take a vote. Or before we take the vote, any more discussion? All right, proceed with the vote.
All right. Those in favor of the motion for approval of Item 9CI. Dennis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ryerson,
Aye.
Metz, Durant,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Jerks.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes.
All right, motion passes. All right, so that's the end of everything for the day. I want to take a second to thank the new commissioners and everything for being here today. Thank everybody that's here in the public. Thank you for your public comment. Moving forward, we have a lot of work to do. And also for the new commissioners, please take the time to look for our rules and procedures, since we have some attorneys on here that kind of are a lot better at that than some of us old military guys. And look through that, because the one thing that I'd pictured with this motion was not to like change everything for the craziness, but to change everything for the better. And I think if we keep looking forward to the future, we'll eventually get to a very good product. Not saying our old product was bad, but there's just some loopholes in it that I think if we clear up, that will be good. And just keep a look at those rules and procedures. Definitely look at what we talked about as far as those deferred motions. When we have our next meeting, there'll be a lot more discussion with them, because we'll have everybody. Hopefully you guys can get a little more caught up. I will reach out to anybody that has any questions. If you have a question, please email me, and then that way I can get you in touch with Mr. Price, and we can go on in more detail about where we're at, what we've done so far in a detailed version. Also, Mr. Price, when we get these minutes from this next meeting, or could we get a copy of minutes and just kind of email them out to the new commissioners, the ones that's already been approved, so they can kind of catch up on past meetings and see where we're at with discussion?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does anybody else have anything?
Mr.
Oh,
Mr. Acting Chair, I'll pass these out to you afterwards. These were the maps that you requested, showing the rules, zoning designations within Richland County according to acreage.
okay.
So I'll give this to you, and I think this will be used for future discussions.
All right. All right, so as we went through everything, we had a little discussion. I gave a little insight on why I made those motions, and I also let the insight know why I deferred them. And we also made the motion for that procedure. And the only thing left is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move.
All right. Take a roll call vote.
Did we get a second on that?
Second.
Second.
Second. All right, those in favor of adjournment, Dennis,
Aye.
Johnson, Ryerson,
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Durant,
Aye.
Taylor, Sirks.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, meeting adjourned.